Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for being here. I'll go through some data, touch on some items, and take some questions. We've lost another 6 residents of Onondaga County over the last 24 hours. We've now lost 360 people since the pandemic started. We've lost 52 people since Monday. Just think about that. Looking at this, African-American female in her 70s, Caucasian female in her 80s, Caucasian male in his 60s, and then 3 nursing home deaths were reported through the New York State Department of Health. So certainly just want to keep all of these folks' families in our thoughts and prayers during the holiday season here. It's a terrible time to lose a loved one. Looking at our positivity rate, 7-day average 6.1%. It's gone down from almost 7% to 6.1 over the last four days. Hospitalizations, we have 327 folks in the hospital. We have 53 individuals in the ICU. Please keep them in your thoughts and prayers. We have 26 individuals that will be discharged this week to the COVID transitional facility in partnership with Loretto. So we'll see a big drop off in hospitalizations when those 26 hit. But certainly the hospitalization number is going to flow with our active case number. And so that's been the case throughout the pandemic, and it will continue to be the case. We have 3,459 active cases today. When we look at overall stats, 17,408 positive cases. That's up 304, so we have 304 new cases today. I think the number was very close yesterday as well to that. 4.5% positivity rate on the day. It's 2 days in a row where we've had pretty good positive rates. Looking at who's been impacted, 9,352 females, 7,931 males, 2,700 individuals under 19 and under, 3,560 in their 20s, 2,532 in their 30s, 2,103 in their 40s, 2,440 in their 50s, 1,853 in their 60s, 1,074 in their 70s, 723 in their 80s, and 423 in their 90s. Just to go through testing for the week, it's a kind of a short week to a degree, but we do have multiple testing locations available. If you are symptomatic, Monday through, I believe, Thursday this week. Am I right? Thursday at the FSHAD? Okay. Monday through Thursday, 9 to 1 at the FSHAD for symptomatic testing, ongov.net/Cayuga Medical. Weekend symptomatic testing, so if this is on the weekend, so either Saturday or Sunday, that is at Essentia Health, 1050 West Genesee Street, and the hours are 8 to noon. Pre-register ongov.net/Cayuga Medical. So during the week at the regional market in the FSHAD, on the weekends, Essentia Health. If you go to the regional market for a test on the weekends, you will not get a test. Nobody's there. So that is symptomatic testing. Asymptomatic testing, we have multiple sites, but the one that we have daily, except for Christmas this week, is here at the On Center. COVID19.ongov.net, pre-register. We have 11 locations set up this week throughout the community. We'll test almost 7,000 people between today and Thursday at those sites. There are not many appointments left, high demand. We have added some at the On Center. So if you go online and you're looking to get a test, you can probably grab a test here on some of those days now. And there will be an evening site from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Wednesday at the Manlius Fire Hall. that has remaining appointments as well. So very high demand. It makes sense. People are probably planning on getting together on Thursday and Friday, and they want to get a test. We'll get into that in a minute. Going through what the location, well, actually, you know what? I'm not going to go through the locations because they're all sold out. So on center or the manliest site that we just went through. Talking about the vaccine, where we are with progress with the vaccine, I think there's a lot of talk about it. The state makes the rules on who gets the vaccine. So that's not something that we do. I know I'm getting a lot of emails with people giving suggestions. Everybody's life is very valuable to all of us. So everybody who wants to get a vaccine, I understand the anxiety around that. But the state sets the criteria on who gets the vaccine. The regional hub at Upstate is there, and they're essentially building out a network with the health directors and our health commissioner, our partners in the community, and then they're looking at the operations, the logistics, and the communication to distribute the vaccine. And certainly we'll play a role in all of those areas, and probably a very heavy role in all those areas, because we have the built-up infrastructure to plug into that system. Counties have vaccination plans. We do them every year. Dr. Gupta's team. We have emergency management plans. We do them every year. We have an emergency that requires a vaccine. So we anticipate that we'll work in partnership with the hub to make sure, our goal is just to make sure that everybody who wants a vaccine gets a vaccine, and they get it as quickly as possible. That is the goal. There is no ego behind any of this. The Upstate's been working diligently with the hospital partners. They've been working on the first round of the Pfizer vaccine. Many of our frontline heroes have gotten a vaccine. Today, the nursing homes started their federal program. Again, that's a federal program that the nursing homes have partnered with CVS or Walgreens or some other pharmacies. That's really good news. These are the facilities, and these are the members of our community that have borne the brunt of this virus. So the fact that they're getting vaccinated will lead to really good outcomes in the future when we're up at this podium. The Moderna vaccine should be coming into the community later this week. The governor laid out some of the next in line for that: EMS workers, some other congregate-type homes, I think medical examiners, funeral home directors. Whether or not there's enough Moderna vaccine to get to that whole crew right away, probably unlikely, but that's what's next. The state set that. Update on our case investigations. We talked last week about our surge strategy to deal with the Thanksgiving surge, beefing up and giving Dr. Gupta more people to do the investigations, with the goal being 24-hour turn times, so we can quickly, after we're doing all this testing, we're identifying all these hidden pockets of the virus, we can quickly isolate them and then quarantine them. And so that's going well. But in addition to that, we've partnered with a technology where tomorrow we'll begin using text messaging. We'll be text messaging out the questionnaires to individuals that would normally, in an investigation, get a phone call and go through this. That call can take anywhere close to an hour. So this will give folks who are very good with technology the opportunity just to answer the questionnaire, get it back in. So then it goes into contact tracing after that. And so some folks won't want to use it. That's fine. So you'll still get a phone call. But it's another tool that we have that we'll be using so that we can turn our investigations around as quick as possible. But most people read their text messages, at least. I've been accused of being really good at reading them and never responding. I see people shaking their head, actually. But that's that's a tool that people, if you're really good with the technology, you get COVID, you can respond, and that will avoid you getting a phone call from us. Looking at the federal stimulus bill that passed, I'm very happy for some of the businesses that we're really hurting right now. So the PPP program for our small business owners and hospitality industry, or Save the Stage initiative that Senator Schumer led, I was very supportive of. That's critical to another industry that couldn't even operate this year. So these are all positives. Some rent relief related to folks who've been impacted by the pandemic. This is a positive thing. Schools and college, I'm happy for schools and colleges that are getting funding. Schools and colleges are on break, right? So again, I don't want to, I'm going to challenge the mindset why they got funding and we didn't, because it was about sending people to school safely and college safely. Well, you're a little late to the game on that. You're already halfway through the year. But we're happy that this will help potentially deal with any budgetary holes that these schools and colleges had. Obviously, we're very disappointed that local governments continue to be used as a bargaining chip, and that being one of the largest employers in the community that has been fighting this pandemic, being the frontline employer fighting the pandemic, not to get the help we need is just kind of ridiculous at this point. And so just to give you an idea, if you just want to look at it from the economics, and we're talking about stimulus, right? This is a stimulus round of money. The idea being to keep jobs, keep the economy stimulated, keep consumer spending up. Just with lost revenue alone, we're looking at over $100 million between 20 going into 21, at least. If you want to stimulate the economy, if we had to make a lot of difficult decisions related to hiring people, if you want low unemployment rates, you want to stimulate the economy, you should look at all your employers, not just the ones that are your favorite employers. So saying that, happy to take questions.
Seeing this, I know you said you're disappointed. I mean, were you hoping, I mean, obviously everyone was hoping for more, but what do you think, can you do anything now to help maybe change this, or?
Yeah, we're going to continue to work through our channels at, our National Association of Counties. There's two real lost opportunities here. One, the House. The House has always supported local and state governments throughout the pandemic, but I would argue they got cute before the elections, and they should have taken the $1.8 trillion deal. The Senate has used us as bargaining chips this whole process. Now they want the President-elect Biden to cash in that chip for whatever they want, right? So that's what it is. So in the meantime, we are in a position where we've made a lot of tough decisions. We just can't rebound at this point. Other governments are in a position where they're going to have to make tough decisions now, and it's going to impact families. So I look at both the House and the Senate. They both played games to a degree, and we've been a victim of that at the local level. I am very happy with some of these other things from the macro picture. They will be very good for our community, and a lot of people that will be hurting will get help. But when I look at the micro, when I look at my organization, which I'm in charge of running, certainly we've been used. We've never asked for a bailout. I love, one can argue other entities may be asking for bailouts. We never did. We just said you gave the greatest unfunded mandate in the history of any county when the federal government agreed with the state government to tell us to shut down our economy. Was that the right decision? I think it was. But you told us to do that. You took that power away from us. We then lost a lot of money because of it. Replace the money we lost. Replace our costs that we have to spend doing all of the work on the front lines in the pandemic. And they haven't. So that's just the facts.
Will Onondaga County benefit from any money, whether it's vaccination, distribution? Do you know, like, if I was told there's some money direct to New York State and some for localities. I don't know if it's localities of a certain size. I don't know
So,
what you know.
so here, Andrew, I think what some of the localities is the initial CARES Act money that had we been a little bit bigger, we would have gotten a lot of money. That money had to be spent by 12/31. My understanding is they're going to extend that for a year. So if Suffolk County and Nassau and Westchester and Erie and Monroe did not spend that money yet, they'll have more time to spend that money. Now, could we get some money from the Save Your Stage Fund? I believe we could, because we have the amphitheater, we have the On Center, we have the War Memorial, the theaters. I believe we could. We'll look through that process. But again, one of the things why people, so you got to look at this macro picture about what's going on with local governments. So the CARES Act funding, I was on a call with county executives from across the state, and the basis of the call was, across the country, excuse me, the basis of the call was to share ideas, what's going on, and what every other county executive was talking about was the CARES Act funding that they got. Now, some of the counties were larger than us, some of them were smaller than us. So the other thing is that the federal government is saying to us, well, you didn't get direct CARES Act money because you weren't over $500,000, but we gave the state CARES Act money. They just haven't given it to you. There's truth there. So that's when you look at it all, some of these other counties, you wonder why some of these Republican senators aren't, as anxious as our senators are. It's because some of those other counties and other parts of the state still got CARES Act money from before. So the pressure isn't there to need more help.
We know Bishop began its vaccination program today. I know you were aware of a calendar. What other nursing homes went today? Do you know?
I'm not. So I'm going to be very careful about talking about names, just because how sensitive the vaccine is. I know there were at least one other nursing home today. I know there's quite a few tomorrow, but it's one of those things where I'm not going to out an entity that's going to have a vaccine where there might not be enough security in case there's some crazy person out there.
So at least two today, you think?
Yeah, which is great news. That's the best news of the day.
Christmas early on, it's coming up Friday. I mean, how concerned are you, and is there anything you guys are going to be doing enforcement-wise to try to tamp down people getting together and spread over the holiday?
Yeah, so Chris, it's a great question. The reality is this is the most important week from a trajectory standpoint of where we are with the virus and probably the pandemic, the whole pandemic. If you look at where we are, so if you look at any of the curves, you saw the peak curve at the 466 after Thanksgiving, and then you went down, and then you had your high day where it went up a little bit, and you're down a little bit. So any curve you look at, we're on a downward trajectory right now, and there's some evidence to suggest that's going to continue. Now, downward meaning we got 300 cases, we were at 450, big percentage drops, but still severe amount of risk in the community. But our asymptomatic testing now, 3 days in a row, much lower positivity rates than before. Our wastewater testing, again, this is not, it hasn't been proven to a degree, but it did show we were going to have spikes in Halloween and Thanksgiving. That's suggesting we're going to have a downward turn with cases. So what can change that is what's going to happen on Thursday, Friday, and maybe Saturday, right? So we just encourage everybody to celebrate differently. Do it with your pods that you've hopefully established throughout the pandemic, and make your pods smaller if it's not family. And then we've encouraged people not to travel or have travelers in. And so we're not trying to be the Grinch. We're just telling people that Thanksgiving put us where we were doing 200 cases, 250, up to, from Halloween where we were all, remember, before that we had 60 cases, I think was like the highest day. So you go from 60 and you had upward trends to 250, Thanksgiving gets you to 460. So we're now coming back down. Do we want to keep on going back down so the rest of the businesses in our community can have indoor dining capacity potentially, so that these restaurants that we've known and loved for generations can make it, then we got to do our part here. But this is the most important week from a physical distancing gathering situation that we've had throughout the whole pandemic. There's no question. We will enforce businesses. Businesses aren't the problem right now, Chris. It's very difficult to enforce residents. You need law enforcement to do that. They're the ones trained. We can't send out a health inspector to break up a gathering. I think there's an acknowledgement from all governments that that's just not a practical thing to do for most parts.
December has been the deadliest month for us. With this, I know that you're hopeful that it will keep going down, but what we saw at Thanksgiving, are you nervous that more people are going to get together this 4-day weekend pretty much that they're going to have? And
Yeah,
it could be worse?
I'm nervous. I think we've never had anything like December, though, either. So the amount of people we've lost is just, it's numbing. And I've said this, but this is true. First wave, you know somebody who had COVID, or you heard of somebody who had COVID. Second wave, you know somebody who's died from COVID. So there a lot of days when we talk about this, we're talking about folks who came from congregate care facilities. Many folks come from just neighborhoods and they get sick. Some folks, many folks have always had underlying conditions. Some folks haven't. So we can't pretend like this isn't going to impact us. And the younger people can't pretend like this won't impact somebody they love, because it can, and it will. If you put yourself in a situation where you may be sick and you're going to a gathering.
In transmission rates inside the orange zone versus outside the orange zone so far. Do you think those zones are still justified and needed, or do you think it's shifted away from that?
Yeah, I think, Chris, especially, I think if we keep trending the right way from the positivity standpoint, I think you need to just kind of reassess where the cases are coming from. Right now, if the state's given out pretty good data, right? So 75% from gatherings, household contacts. I can tell you the one thing that we track every day is our senior facility cases. This is 10 to 15% of our cases. So if you do the math there, you're over 90%. So everything else is coming from commercial activity. Do I think right now, if we keep going the right direction and we have a good week and we don't get a huge Christmas spike, and if we don't get one at all, I think we're going on the path where you have to look at some of the restrictions that are having the impacts they're having. Maybe you move things back from an orange to a yellow zone. But the key to everything now is the hospital numbers, your ability to treat your sick. And our COVID facility is going to be very helpful for the region's capacity. 26 members of our community and dozens of members from other counties that could go there. So that will help quite a bit with the hospital capacity.
Have you heard from upstate about how they're doing with vaccinating people, and if they have a decent supply to keep up with the 600 per day?
Well, no, they won't be doing 600 per day anymore, because they'll be out of the Pfizer round soon. And then they wait for the Moderna, and the Moderna, they got so many doses, and they've been given the marching orders on who's next from the state. But I think they're very close to accomplishing that first wave with the Pfizer vaccine. But certainly we want to, when we get the vaccine in, the state tells us who needs a vaccine. The goal is to get that person the vaccine as quickly as possible so we can ask the state for more.
Have conversations begun with upstate as the vaccination hub? And, talking about your shopping town vision and those kinds of county-sided things? Yeah,
so Dr. Gupta's talking to them, I'm talking to them, Ann Rooney's talking to them, various ways. If you think about, so let's think about this, right? Your county government has a health department. We have a large health department, a very good health department. So we have more capacity to help meet this challenge than other counties. We have an emergency management department, right? They've showed their colors during this pandemic. They know what they're doing. When you talk about that, and how do you get to the most vulnerable in the community? Well, we're the ones who have social services. We're the ones that have children family services. How do you get to your seniors? We have adult and long-term care departments, right? So we are so connected with the community and with the goals coming down from the state through the vaccination hub that we'll have the ability to plug a lot of this infrastructure in to the hub, and we can run.
Explain what your vision is there a little bit of how that will help vaccinate people.
Yeah. So as soon as we close on that, we'll open up a piece of that for testing in the community, and then that's on the table for vaccination. Right now, when you have there's multiple properties we own that will be good vaccination sites. Right, this building, the Shopping Town Mall, our libraries in the city of Syracuse. SRC Arena. These are all things that Dr. Gupta and her team have identified and given to the state. You don't need those larger buildings until you have more capacity with the vaccine. So probably not this next round, but maybe following rounds where you have 20,000, 30,000 vaccines, then you set up a system where you can get to people, get to them quickly. Parking, all these things are important. We have that with our larger facilities.
We know St. Joe's is set to get some Moderna vaccine this week. Is Kraus as well?
I believe Kraus got the Pfizer vaccine.
Just going back to Shopping Town, when do you close on that? Do you have a date?
So the lawyer's got to work through a couple things, Chris, related to title, and before you finalize that transaction, just making sure all the facts are understood, confirmed by the bankruptcy judge. But we could have that in our possession the beginning of the new year. Other questions?